Hooday, everybody. This is the Bengals Pulse. Welcome to our Thursday show. We debated doing a show tonight, but we really didn't want to leave you hanging, and we wanted to get out here and kind of have everybody share our calm before the storm, our impatience, and talk about our favorite subject, the Bengals. So, Mom joining me tonight. Jake can't be here. Jake is off coaching his high school team, hopefully to another victorious night. So good luck, Jake. With that, Mon, how you doing?
Good. It's been a real busy day. Trying to get caught up on the news. A lot of work, couldn't break away. And I think I started a little bit of a firestorm last night on Twitter,
Uh-oh.
talking about the Chase situation and the contract talk. A majority of the Bengal fans are sympathetic towards him, but there's quite a few, more than I expected, that are not. And that really ticks me off. I mean, I think Jamar Chase is a pillar for this organization right now, and I think he deserves a new contract. And I hope the Bengals get it done soon.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah, we'll get into that here shortly. It's been a day. There hasn't been a lot of news, but there's been a lot of Bengals stuff that makes you run through the wall. Number one, my Yoshivas jersey just came in, ready to run through a brick wall and the orange out there. So excited for that. From the Jungle returned tonight with a great episode covering some of the draft calls, the preseason buildup, really getting you hyped up for the season. I mean, the Bengals social media team, man, they deserve all the awards. They know how and when to drop this content. 2 weeks before we're craving all of our Bengals news, we get a really cool episode dropped. I guess we'll get one next week. Really pulling us in there. So excited about that. There was some roster transaction news we'll get to a little later on today. But yeah, let's get right into it and talk the Jamar Chase news. When we left on Tuesday, we were very excited because Jamar Chase was practicing. Zach Taylor said he's playing week 1. We're good to go. Everybody was thinking that meant a deal was close. And then we get the following day and something happened. Something went south. Maybe he didn't want Zach Taylor to say that, but Jamar Chase was not practicing again. As you said, there's been a lot of Bengals fans. We get this all the time. We have people that are taking side with the player. Some saying ownership is cheap. We don't know what's going on in the contract details. What are your thoughts on it, Mon? What do you think's going on with the Jamar Chase deal?
Uh, I don't know. I've been on the record. I think the contract is still going to get done before week 1. I really think it's going to happen. A lot of debate about, he's only in his third year. A lot of the big time wide receivers sign after year 4. How dare Jamar Chase make Zach Taylor look bad? I'm going to give you my take right here. There's 3 wide receivers drafted in the top 10 of the 2021 draft. 2 of them received contract extensions already. Jamar Chase is night and day better than those guys, 10 times better. Penei Sewell, who is not a wide receiver, an offensive tackle. We all remember the Civil War, Sewell or Chase. We picked Chase. Sewell signed a huge contract extension for offensive linemen, drafted in the same draft as Jamar Chase. Christian Darrisaw signed a huge contract as an offensive lineman and making huge money. Great player from that draft. Did that in his third year. Everybody out there that's saying, "Oh, wait till year 4, this, that, and this." Jamar Chase, this business is business, guys. I know he's under contract. I totally get that. But when he sees other players lesser than him making life-changing money that's going to, generational money that he's going to have, that could set up his family for years, why shouldn't he expect that? He's one of the best players in the NFL. He's the second best player on the Cincinnati Bengals. They need to get the contract done this year. I can ramble for hours about this. If they don't get it done this year, he's going to come. He will play. He's definitely going to play. But what's going to happen? It's going to be 10, 15, 20% more next year. It's going to be more expensive to sign him next year. And I'm fed up. We didn't sign Jesse Bates because guess what? We couldn't afford Jesse Bates because we had to sign T. Higgins. T. Higgins was going to be under contract for years. Guess what? Jesse Bates is an all-pro in Atlanta. T. Higgins is on a 1-year rental here. He's not going to be a Bengal long term. So no, guess what? We're not signing T. Higgins because we got to sign Jamar Chase to a big contract. What gives? Make it happen. They got the money. I mean, enough is enough. It's frustrating. Get the job, get it done, guys. And here's another thing. I do feel bad for Zach Taylor. Zach Taylor needs to coach this football team. Why is the cameras always in front of him about Jamar Chase? Get Duke Tobin in front of a camera. Let Duke Tobin explain why Jamar
Exactly.
Chase
Yeah,
isn't
for
playing.
sure.
Let Zach Taylor coach this football team. He shouldn't be the guy that has to answer for every question from Paul Dane or Jay Morrison, James Rapine, and everybody. Let Duke Tobin get in front of that microphone. Enough of this crap. Let Zach Taylor coach this football team. Man, we are better than this. The Cincinnati Bengals have changed so much for the better over the last few years. They really have. They are a legitimate modern day NFL franchise. But when it comes to some of these contract negotiations, they're still the 70s and 80s Bengals. They need to evolve and change. Enough is enough, guys. Enough is enough.
Yeah, and it only benefits the Bengals to get it done right now. This is going to get done at some point, hopefully before the season starts. I hope they don't have to push Jamar to skip week 1 or week 2, but get it done now. And I believe, and Jamar Chase is playing on a contract that pays him 1 million this year. Yeah, 1 million to us is a lot, is life-changing money to those of us that work 9 to 5 jobs. But for someone that's playing in the NFL that really could lose his career at any time to an injury, you want to get that contract locked in. Get the deal done now. His 5th-year option is next year. For him, he's motivated because you get that signing bonus. He said before he wants cash up front. Get that man his money in his pocket. His motivation to get it done now is going to save you money in the long run. You wait till next year, and this is going to go way up. We may be talking a 34 or a $32 million a year, slightly ahead of Justin Jefferson, whatever his number was. We might be talking that now, but if we get to next year, we might be talking 5 million more than that because the thing has gone up so much. So a lot of this came down after the CeeDee Lamb extension was announced. And today, just breaking before the show, Brandon Ayuk signed his deal. He signed a 4-year, $120 million extension. So bad news to all those Steelers fans that were telling us on Twitter that he's a Steeler. It's going down. He's going to be there. My question for you is, these final 2 deals happening, do they help push the negotiations over the edge? Oh, you're muted, Mom.
I'm sorry. I hope so. My dog is going crazy. My dog is upset about the Chase situation also.
Oh, I feel
I still think it's going to get done. I get it. It's not apples and oranges with all of these wide receivers. Some did sign after year 4. I get it. I know the Vikings wanted to sign Jefferson last year. He wanted to hold out a little bit and see what some of these other guys, not hold out, but wait and see what other wide receivers made. I just want to say one other thing. In 2021, Forbes magazine comes out every year and they rate professional sports franchises for their net worth. In 2021, the Bengals were worth $2.3 billion. The new valuation came out. They're worth $4.1 billion now. That's in 3 years. Why are they worth it? Almost double what they were 3 years ago. Why? Guys like Jamar Chase, guys like Joe Burrow, guys like T. Higgins, coaches like Zach Taylor making this team relevant, going to 2 AFC championship games, going to a Super Bowl. Business is good in Cincinnati. It's for a small market for the team value to go up that much. It's pretty amazing. They have the money. They have the means to do it. And they have a philosophy, and I'll say it, they're stubborn. They're stubborn, and they have to do something about it. Nobody wants the Cincinnati Bengals to spin like a drunken sailor and waste money on players that are questionable and their talent is marginal. That's not the case with Jamar Chase. That's not the case. Chase is arguably top 3 wide receiver in all of the NFL. He's going to be a difference maker for years to come. Sign him. He's essential to this team. And I think with all these other signings, yeah, Eric, I think it is going to push them, put a little bit more pressure on him. We'll see what happens. Monday's going to be the big day. If it doesn't happen over this weekend, I'm really going to be concerned. I really am.
So Bengals history. What do you think could be holding this up? Do you think Jamar wants 3 years and the Bengals are trying to get 4 years? Does Jamar want 75% guarantee and the Bengals wanna do rolling guarantees or only guarantee half of it? What do you think could be going on here?
I think it's guaranteed money all the way. I really do. I think the way the Bengals structure it, I think guarantees. I think he'll make. I don't think they have a problem paying him 40 million a year. It looks great. It looks great on paper, but he might get. There might be offering 10, 15, 20 million less in guarantees compared to some of the other wide receivers. It's all about guarantees. It really is, and I think that's what the holdup is. I said this on previous shows. I know it's a totally different position. But the Bengals years ago offered Kevin Zeitler $5 million a year to sign a big contract to stay with the team. Clint Bowling, their other guard, was making $5 million a year. Well, Zeitler was better than Bowling. Zeitler knew that. He wasn't going to accept that. You know what? But if the Bengals would have offered him 7, 8, 9, maybe 10 million, I think he would have signed a long-term contract with the Bengals. Instead, he left, and it took the Bengals 4 to 5 years to find an adequate replacement for him. They're never moving forward. They're always trying to, hey, we're going to take care of you. We're going to load up this contract where you make a lot of money in year one. Year two, it drops tremendously. They try to front load it. Eric, it could be a million things, but if I was a betting man, it's going to be the guarantees.
Yes, which is frustrating because, his 5th-year option, he's gonna get 21 million guaranteed in his 5th year. So you already have that built in. Just add some on there and the thing is that here's the frustration. I know Mike Brown has worked this way for a lot of years is we don't put guarantees in contracts, we put guarantees in our handshakes with our players. And he has been a man of his word for decades where they don't cut people if they're injured or whatnot. They see the 2nd year of that contract. He does honor those deals, but in today's day and age, you just have to put it in the contract. You have to put it in there, and otherwise people don't take them for their word anymore. That just doesn't happen in today's day and age. So I can see it's a little bit of a culture gap between what the way it was done in the past versus the way it's done now. Because you trust people, but hey, you want that on piece of paper. There was a good question here. Let me find it. Vanguard had a great question. Do you think Jamar will be ready by week one? Why don't you answer it first?
I will. He's been in the system for a long time. Even Zach Taylor said it. He's not at home pouting. He's not at home talking trash about the organization. He's not in another city away from the team. He's with his teammates. He's in the meetings. All right. He's even doing, they said he's sweating, doing personal workout in the bubble. And he's not working out with the team. He's in shape. He's ready to play football. Yeah, I think if they sign that deal, I think he'll be ready to go right away. Uh, I tweeted something last night. He's been classy about it. And you know what? I'm surprised how many people didn't like that comment. He has been classy about it. He could have been an
And
absolute jerk. He's not a jerk. He's a team player. He loves his team. He loves Joe
look what
Burrow. He
Ayuk
loves the
did.
Bengals. He loves the city. And he's
Yeah.
not a troublemaker. He's doing it. He's in the building and he's preparing mentally. He's in the meetings and he is doing his own personal workouts.
Yeah, and that's frustrating because, it's frustrating to see anybody in Bengals Nation turning on him because look at what Brandon Ayuk did. Brandon Ayuk demanded a trade. He held out all pretty much all summer. He was tweeting at the Steelers, trying to, at Mike Tomlin, trying to get comments there, basically trying to leave his team. Jamar Chase has been to almost every practice, 99% of practices. He hasn't made a single comment outside of a side eye Instagram post. He's done it the right way. He's done everything in good faith. So we should step up and hopefully the Bengals are budging and moving. Maybe there's an irrational request out there, something that's unprecedented, and they just don't want to set that precedent. But I hope that when the news comes out, you know, both sides gave up a little bit, and they had met at their middle ground. There was a comment earlier on asking or saying, and this I've seen this all over Twitter, and I'm going to give my opinion on it, and then you could give me yours. But there's a lot of opinions. Well, where we're at now, just trade Jamar and sign T. Let T be your number one. They did it with Tyreek Hill. They turned around and won all these championships. You just T could be our number one. T is going to have an amazing year. You just cannot trade a Jamar Chase. It's not just the talent. The Chiefs did it with Tyreek Hill. It's not just the talent. It's that relationship that he has with Joe Burrow. I mean, these guys almost have ESP. They know where each other are going to be, and you can't build that quickly. Yeah, Jamar or Joe and T have a great relationship. He's going to be a number one somewhere, probably in 2 years, maybe next year if we trade him. He's just not. He's not Jamar, in my opinion. What do you think about that take?
No, I don't. There's no way. There, there's no way they trade Jamar. If they did, that would be absolutely, um, that would be just terrible. I don't think it's going to happen. They can't sign T until the off season. That they had to do that by the 14th of July, I think, or the 15th. So if they want to revisit T. Higgins, that has to be at the completion of the season. Who knows? I guess maybe that could happen if things stray off with Chase. Chase is staying. He's not going to go anywhere. He's going to be a Bengal. Um, I still think it happens before game one. I really do. I just hate that it's being drawn out, and some of the fans and some of the media is really giving Zach Taylor a hard time. They're even spinning it. Lance McAllister said something. Think about a player that makes his coach look bad. So Lance is giving Chase a hard time because it makes Zach Taylor look bad. Well, you know what? Like I just said a few minutes ago, shame on the Bengals. Don't make Zach Taylor come out and answer those questions. Get your de facto GM out there to answer them, Duke Tobin. Let him get in front of a microphone and talk about it instead of at mock turtle soup. Go up there on the podium and talk about Jamar Chase. Have a press conference. Let Zach Taylor get ready for week one against the Pats.
Yeah, or take the stance they took with Joe Burrow and just say, we're not commenting on it. They're not commenting on it until a deal is done. That it just doesn't make sense. Why would you put Zach out there like that? Because they're just going to keep asking the questions over and over again.
Well, if you think about it, Eric, Jamar's agent isn't saying anything. Jamar hasn't
Yeah.
said anything. What's fueling this is he's in his street clothes. Okay, he's not working, and so the media, the players, what are they doing? The media is like, oh, he's not working. He's not working. He's not. Why is he in his shorts, Zach Taylor? Why is this? That's what's fueling it. If you read, Jamar Chase hasn't said one negative thing about the Bengals. Neither has his agent.
No.
That's refreshing to me. And all the people out there, the handful, there's quite a few out there that are upset with Jamar and saying these silly things on Twitter. Just think about that. Compare that to some other wide receivers and how they handle it. Tell me he's not doing it
Absolutely.
classy. Tell me he's not
Yeah.
doing it in a classy manner.
No,
I don't know, man.
absolutely.
I am a little
Absolutely.
disheartened. Jake and even you, Eric, you guys make fun of my age. Yeah, I am older. I remember the Bengals from the 70s and 80s. Yeah, I was really young in the 70s, but they had amazing players, borderline Hall of Famers that wanted contracts, and the Bengals just let them go. They traded them. And their replacements that the Bengals would get and draft were pretty good players. They really were, but they were never up to par with them. I still remember that. Still remember it. I'm not
All
saying
right.
that's going to happen now. I'm not saying it's going to happen now, but I remember that. And we have to live and learn. Every decade of their existence, they have done that with very good players. A couple of them turned out to be Hall of Famers. And their replacements, hey, were good players. They're not in the Hall of Fame.
I'm still salty, man. They let Boomer go and drafted David Klingler. Boomer is my all-time hero.
Yeah.
Boomer deserved to be a Bengal for life. The man loves his franchise. It was great that he got to come back for that reunion tour, but I was a kid, 12, 13 years old. That hurt that they would let him go like that because they had the mindset of it's better 1 year early too early than 1 year too late, and that just doesn't work nowadays. And then to add salt to the wound, they gave Klingler number 7, which really burned, and that didn't play out well for him. The last thing I'll say on Jamar Chase, and this is my belief on Jamar Chase, and it's proved out how he's doing it. First ever Bengal to ever wear number 1. He deserves his contract. He deserves his next contract. He needs to retire a Bengal, and no one will ever wear number 1 for the Bengals again. That will be retired. He will walk into the Hall of Fame in about, what, 20 years from now? So that's my take.
I hope so.
All right.
Yeah. Well, let's move on.
Yeah, everybody's talked a lot about Jamar Chase. There's a lot of Bengals news. We'll kick off some of this. We left last episode talking about the first 53-man roster. There's been a few transactions that have happened in the last few days. We'll get with probably one of the more pressing ones, because we've been really on how this guy can impact the team. But today they put McKinley Jackson on the IR. He can return after week 4. They didn't initially seem like they were going to do this, but I think because some other players became available, it just made sense. What are your thoughts on this?
Yeah. I mean, they were doing roster gymnastics. Travion Williams was cut. He knew what was going to happen. He knew what they were going to do, and that's funny stuff. That's the fake Aaron Butler, I do believe. No, but we have impersonators of our Baltimore Ravens favorite fan that visits us all the time. We knew Travion Williams was coming back. There's no way they're going to go into week 1 with just 2 running backs. Gives him Jackson a little bit more time to heal, basically. I love the acquisition of Henry, the defensive end from Washington. The Bengals, let's face it, they're down numbers on that defensive line. They need pass rushers. Miles Murphy is going to be out for 4 weeks. And by the way, Henry was Murphy's teammate at Clemson. So Marion Hobby also was a defensive line coach there, so he knows a lot about him. He'll come in and give us a handful of snaps. I think another reason they probably put Jackson on the IR is they got to claim Justin Rogers from the Dallas Cowboys. He was the draft pick, or I don't know if he was drafted. I think he might have been an undrafted free agent from Auburn. He's a big body, 6'1", 330 pounds. The Bengals were, I guess they brought him in for a visit. They were looking at potentially drafting him. So to get him in there, he had a great preseason for Dallas. If you go on Dallas Twitter, they were really upset that they cut him. Really upset. So for the Bengals to get him, I wouldn't be surprised if they could potentially activate him for week 1 this year, give them another rotational piece on the defensive line to help them out. I fully expect the Patriots to run the ball a lot, trying to keep Joe Burrow on the bench and Jamar Chase. But I love the additions. I love the practice squad. I love the fact that they got 4 people that were on other rosters on their practice squad, and that's good. Obviously, Gilliam isn't one of the guys on the practice squad. They thought the offensive lineman that was with the Ravens last year was a better overall talent.
Yeah, and to answer Ben's question here about Travion, Travion was actually a vested veteran, so it was up to him where he would go. He had a handshake deal with the Bengals, obviously, that this was roster gymnastics. However, just today, we get the transactions that come out with the McKinley Jackson IR. Travion was re-signed, and we also signed guard Tashawn Manning, halfback Kendall Milton, defensive tackle Justin Rogers, and defensive end Isaiah Thomas. I don't know much about these other 4 guys. It's nice to get another running back. You know anything about them, or you have any thoughts about them, Mon?
Big college players. The running back played at Georgia. He's, I think, 230 pounds. He's a thumper. If he comes in and learns the playbook, let's face it, the Bengals don't have a big running back. They don't have a 220, 225-pound guy like Joe from last year. So it's good to have him there in case something happens. They need a big body back. They can bring him in. I love the guard that they picked up. He was with the Ravens last year. He was on their practice squad the whole season. And it's good to have him, 6'4", 330, another developmental piece. Let's face it, we need to reinforce some trenches. Hopefully, he develops there and they can bring him up and potentially play if needed.
Yeah. We did get we have our full practice squad. I don't have it up on the screen here, but our initial practice squad was we'll read it out here for the podcast listeners. Quarterback Nate Brooks, wide receiver Cole Burgess, offensive tackle Devin Cochran, defensive tackle Dominique Davis, quarterback Jalen Davis, Jake's favorite cornerback, tight end Cam Grandy. I've heard a lot of praise from Zach on Cam Grandy, so I think could be something down the road. Linebacker Shaka Hayward, nice to get him back. Keeping Trey Hill around. Hopefully, he can develop a little bit more. Shedrick Jackson, PJ Jules, Kendrick Pryor, and to me, this is a surprise to have Logan Woodside. Maybe it's just a formality. I'm still of the opinion that we need a little bit better emergency quarterback. But what are your thoughts on this practice squad?
The Bengals love their wide receivers. They got three on there, and I think all of them are could potentially develop into great players. I agree with you with Logan Woodside. I think he's there until somebody else potentially pops up or they
AJ,
strike a deal.
tell me
Who knows?
AJ.
It could, that would make you happy. No, but the wide receivers, they love him. Jackson, to me, he's a talented guy. I think another year in the practice squad, he could potentially come in. Irwin made the roster. How much longer is he going to be at the team? Another year or two. So one of these guys, Jackson, Burgess, or Pryor, could maybe come in the next year or two and take Irwin's spot. Jalen Davis, I know the Bengals really love him. I'm sure he had other options, other potential suitors. He decided to come back to Cincinnati. I expect him to be active a lot. Dominique Davis this is going to be year 3 on the practice squad. So, if he needs to come in eventually, give them 10, 15 snaps, good for them. I like it. 12 of the 16 are familiar with the Bengals. Those 4 other guys, that's great. I'm glad they brought them in. And they all played at big colleges. They played big time college football, and they've been exposed to NFL training camps before. So, hey, good for them. I think overall this Bengal roster is awesome from starting 22. I'm very happy with. I think we have great depth at key positions. There's a couple spots that still concern me. I've talked about that. We'll spend some more time talking about that with our Sunday show. Are you going to let people know about that?
Yeah, we'll drop that before we leave for the night. But yeah, it is also a testament to the Bengals and just the environment and the everything that's been built up. A lot of these players, from what I'm hearing, they did have opportunities elsewhere, but they chose to come back to the Bengals practice squad rather than other practice squads just because they like it here. They see opportunities. They like the staff. Maybe they feel they can develop. One player that chose not to come back to the Bengals, and we don't know if he made an offer, but Samaje Perine, everybody's favorite callback, has signed with the Chiefs, which it kind of twists a little bit, because he stuck it to them in those games a few times. Signing with the Chiefs is kind of frustrating because it's like signing with the Steelers to me. I do understand that a lot of his family is up in the Midwest. It's really close to Kansas City. Your thoughts on no Perine reunion?
I think he's a good football player. I think he's going to do really well for them. And I would have loved to see him stay in Cincinnati. Of course, this is just my opinion. I don't have any inside knowledge. I don't think he left on the best of terms with Cincinnati last year. They offered him similar, if not the same money that Denver gave him. He wanted to be the man. He wasn't going to be the man with Mixon here. So I don't know if they reached out to him. I have no idea. I don't know what his contract looks like with Kansas City, but all the beat writers made it seem like it's going to be pretty much a done deal. If they made him an offer, I'm sure Kansas City made him a better offer. Again, I don't know, but I think he's going to be a good football player. Samaje Perine is a player. He's a very good football player, and I hate that we have to play him week 2, but I think our team's going to be ready. I'm glad we're playing the Chiefs week 2 instead of week 14.
Oh God!
2 years in a row that has happened. And can we get the Chiefs again in Cincinnati? Yeah, we will this year in the championship.
Oh, the championship. No, if they make it.
If Kansas City makes it, the Bengals.
If Kansas City, obviously Cincinnati will be there. 17 and Joe. I'll keep saying that over and over again. I'm gonna die on that hill. So we'll drop kind of talk about the way the structure is going to work for this season. We're going back to our format. We're going to be live after the games as best we can. If we're all up in Cincinnati, then we'll get live as quick as we can. But I believe we're going to be live for week one. Jake and I are going to be up there. Mon's going to be running the show for us. Jake and I are going to try and come live from the stadium. On that notion, though, we're gonna do a live show this Sunday just to kind of do a preseason Bengals Pulse live Sunday, late afternoon, early evening. Talk about some of the expectations, some of our hopes and dreams for the season, but really to get everybody geared up and get back into the swing of these things. Really, we're just gonna make that show whatever
It's
you
our
want it to be.
kickoff
Yeah,
show.
our kickoff show. We're gonna be optimistic. We're not gonna be talking about the depth in the O-line. We're gonna be talking about all those things that are gonna go right and nothing that's gonna go wrong. Right, Mon?
I'll do my best. I'll do my best.
I got the mute button. If you start talking about things that go wrong, then we'll just dub something in there. So
Brandon, if I make it to Cincinnati, I'll probably go to Bengal Gems and tailgate, but I'm going to try to make at least one game. It's going to be hard for me this year. It really is. I got so much going on. My son's getting married. My daughter's in Massachusetts. I got to go to Atlanta a couple times in the next few weeks. I got a lot of traveling, and unfortunately, it's not Cincinnati.
Atlanta is more than halfway to Cincinnati, and
I will tell everybody this. There's a giant Bengal bar in downtown Atlanta. When the Bengals play the Eagles, I'm going to be up there for a party for my son's engagement. And I'm going to go to that bar and I'm going to go live with the Bengals Pulse. And it's going to be fun. It's going to be fun. My son's already talking to the owners of the bar, trying to get some things set up. So we'll have fun with that episode.
Which game? Which game is that?
It's going to be the week they play the Eagles. It's a 4:00 game in Cincinnati. Yep. So
I will be in Cincinnati for that game.
I'll have everything up there. Tell you what, if they lose, I might be in a drunken stupor. So it's going to be a great Bengals Pulse.
Yeah, I'll be in Cincinnati for that game. So we might have to have Jake do all the computer stuff. Do you think we can handle that?
Well, that means we're going to have a monumental crash. Twitter will break, the internet will break, and everybody's going to come to Vieira, Florida, and look for him.
Yeah, that sounds like a plan. Before we get out of here, you got any other fun stuff, Bengal stuff you want to talk about? Any final statements on the week?
I guess they're off for the weekend. They pick it back up Monday. Mike Brown, Bengals front office. Let's get our guy Chase signed. Let's get that going, and that's it.
Yeah.
Let's just get ready. One more week, and we have NFL football. I'm excited about college football on Saturday, though. I need my West Virginia Mountaineers to upset and beat Penn State. I beg you, make it happen, please.
Yeah, we won't talk about college football with these FSU fans down here. That didn't go great. As we get out of here, make sure you guys like the show on YouTube, like and subscribe. Follow the Bengals Pulse on Twitter. Follow the Cincinnati Pod. If you're watching on Twitter, please go over to YouTube and like and subscribe to the show there. We really appreciate all the support. Before we get out of here, I don't know what's in the comments. Mon, you're gonna have to tell me. But
no, man, fake Aaron Butler is killing me. I like you, whoever you are.
All right, my last plea to the Cincinnati Bengals is go get this man signed. Get him signed before Monday. You get him signed. We'll be buying we're going to buy your merch anyway, but I'll buy an extra t-shirt on September 8th when we're up there. I'll buy an extra hat, whatever it takes. Pay this man, go talk to Skyline, get this contract done, guarantee it, throw in some conies, get it done. On that note,
speak it into existence. Make it happen,
yeah. Eric. It's going to happen. And it didn't break during our show. If it breaks after our show, that's fine. We'll take one for the team. If it does break, we'll try and go live for you because it's going to be a lot of excitement and a lot of hoo-days running around.
Y'all take care, everybody.
All right, hoo-day, everybody. That's another edition of the Bengals Pulse. We will see you on Sunday.